You know, Balmorhea State Park is this jewel in the middle of a desert.
Balmorhea State Park is truly an oasis in the West Texas desert.
I remember being a Boy Scout growing up in Texas, and that was the first time I saw Balmorhea State Park. We stopped by on a drive out into West Texas, and what I remember from that experience is being, a little 12-year-old Boy Scout and seeing the high dive that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and thinking, that looks awesome. I mean, as a kid, I didn't understand or really appreciate all of the work that Balmorhea State Park is doing to protect those natural and cultural resources. My name is Kai Harkey. I'm a sixth-generation Texan, and today I'm a project manager with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation.
I'm Nancy Garrison, and I'm co-founder of Garrison Brothers Distillery. We used to close, actually, in the month of August. Although the bourbon was really happy in 101-degree temperature, we were not. We were always looking for a way to escape the summer heat. Very often we would detour to Balmorhea State Park. It is just a great respite, a wonderful way to cool off, and it's fun for the kids because it has fish swimming in the water.
The impact that the Texas climate has on our aging inventory is almost 100% all positive. But it's like everything else in life, you got to give up something to get it. What we're getting is just amazing bourbon on your palate, in your glass, because of the extreme temperature changes here in Texas. We're literally wringing flavor profiles out of that barrel that you're just not going to get in cooler climates. But what we give up is a big portion of the actual liquid. So we may not have as much at the end of the race, but what we have is definitely first place. Donna's Todd, I'm the master distiller at Garrison Brothers Distillery in High, Texas.
My name is Katie Spurgeon, and I'm the engagement manager at Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation. The engagement manager works with our Stewards of the Wild program, helping to create the next generation of conservation leaders. Our vision is for all Texans to be able to experience our wild things and wild places. Simply put, we work to keep Texas wild. Balmorhea State Park is very unique in that it has a giant spring-fed pool and a place for Texans from far and wide to come and experience our wildest things and places. Kai is going to be the person to talk to you about this.
So Balmorhea State Park is the largest spring-fed pool in the world, which means that it is a natural spring pooling up from the aquifer underground. One thing we know about West Texas is there's not a lot of water out there. So when you think about Balmorhea State Park today, and for the past tens of thousands of years, water in the middle of the desert is what makes Balmorhea special. Not only to us as we drive from all over Texas to swim, but for the wildlife that depends on it. We have certain fish species that have adapted out there to that specific ecosystem. They don't exist anywhere else in the world. But we also have hundreds of thousands of years of wildlife populations that have depended on access to that fresh, clean drinking water to survive in the desert.
Yeah, Balmorhea Bourbon. So real story, we're here working really, really hard in the very early days. I read an article in a local paper. The gentleman that wrote the article never came out, never asked anybody, but wrote an article about Texas bourbon, that it's just gonna be fast whiskey. There's no craft, no art. It ruffled my feathers a little bit. I'm making 10 bucks an hour, sleeping in a travel trailer without any water or electric with a 2-year-old, and here I'm reading that there's no craft, there's no art, there's no passion. And I was like, I don't know who this is, but hold my beer, I'll show you. The origin of Balmorhea was to show the world that there's a ton of passion, a ton of art, a lot of craftsmanship behind this brand.
I love swimming at Balmorhea Pool. It is a Texas treasure. So when we were thinking about naming a new bourbon, it seemed like a natural fit.
We all recall things differently. I've heard several stories. All I know is I'm glad he called it Balmorhea because we do a ton of good with it. The true art form about bourbon for me is getting the liquid where you want it. We have this beautiful bourbon, but all bourbon can be better. It needs to have the finish, the character, the depth. So I came up with a true double barrel bourbon. And what I mean by that is it ages in one brand new white American oak barrel, somewhere between 4 and 6 years. And I find these barrels on my palate, it's a candy bar in a glass. I take those barrels and marry them all together. And I fill a custom 25-gallon barrel that's heavily toasted and lightly charred. And we let those barrels age 2 to 4 years to just make that candy bar finish out, like the perfect marshmallow roasted. We don't add much water to it when we go to bottle. Candy bar in a glass. The first release of Balmorhea was actually 4,009 bottles that we sold here at the distillery only. It was just to test the waters and let folks taste the first true double barrel bourbon ever produced in Texas. It was 115 proof, just as every batch we've made since 2017.
Balmorhea State Park was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. So our recreational experiences, our natural resource, all depend on this infrastructure that's 90 years old. It's getting a lot of love and wear and tear. So after that siding of the pool that was built in the 1930s started to collapse in 2018.
The state decided they couldn't afford to repair the pool and maintain the park. That upset Dan. That's where Tucker and Sam learned how to swim, and they went there every year. And because the state park is such a treasure for the state of Texas, he wanted to fix that. He wanted to save the swimming pool.
What we realized was that Balmorhea State Park was a treasure in the Texas park system, but it was overloved. It needed help. And we felt like we had an opportunity to help the park. So we gave $5 for every bottle sold, and we did bourbon dinners where people would come and we would tell our story about this treasure and tell the story of Balmorhea State Park. But we would also raise money in the process.
So Garrison Brothers stepped up by raising awareness for a lot of those challenges, by dedicating a portion of the sale of Balmorhea Bourbon to support the park, and challenging other businesses to step up as well to help protect the future of Texas state parks.
Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation raised funds to fix the pool and create a permanent endowment for ongoing maintenance. Our foundation has raised more than $50 million toward Texas State Park since 1991.
So the Texas State Park system just celebrated 100 years, and we at the Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation were really proud to support the parks as they celebrated that anniversary. So in doing so, we picked a special project at every single Texas State Park, and with the help of our funders, we have funded and put those projects into place, and they have helped to increase the safety, enhanced accessibility, and in many cases took on a natural resource or conservation project that was a high priority for that specific park.
Not only does Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation work to preserve our native habitats, we also work to restore and protect our native species like pronghorn, black bears, and desert bighorn sheep. The foundation partners with institutes like the Borderlands Research Institute to do research on the desert bighorn sheep and how we can restore their populations. One of our most recent programs we began is called Pollinators in Prairies to ensure that the smaller wildlife are being protected and cared for. Anyone can help support Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation's mission by donating to one of our various initiatives and projects going on across the state. You can get involved with Stewards of the Wild, our Donate to Gear Up for Game Wardens, our program that helps equip Texas game wardens with specialty equipment to do their jobs safely and efficiently. If you'd like to learn more about what Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation is doing, go to tpwf.org. Without partners like Garrison Brothers, Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation would not be able to do the work that we do and further our mission to protect our wild things and wild places.
On the back of our bottle, embossed in the glass, is Good Bourbon Can Change the World. It is permanent. It is part of our fabric of who we are and who I am personally.
Truly blessed to make Garrison Brothers Texas Straight Bourbon Whiskey with some amazing men and women here at Garrison Brothers. And you would think that all the passion and everything that I have to say is about the liquid in the front, but that's far from the truth. The most important thing that you're gonna find in or on a Garrison Brothers bottle is right on the back. It says, Good Bourbon Can Change the World. We have this amazing opportunity to make a difference in our communities, and bottle at a time, we're doing that.
Our charity, Good Bourbon for a Good Cause, was started as an initiative to give back to our community, and we realized that good bourbon brings good people together who want to do good things. So whether that is giving back to Balmorhea State Park, giving back to Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation, or raising funds for Texas wildfires, all opportunities to give back.
Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation hopes that it will leave a legacy that every Texan can get out and enjoy our wild things and wild places.
At Garrison Brothers Distillery, it is not just about the bourbon or the parks. It is about leaving a legacy of care and conservation.
Partners like Garrison Brothers help the Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation by turning their fans into our fans. We're helping to turn customers into conservationists.
We are not just making bourbon, we are making a difference.